Lewis Hamilton is 50 points behind. The car ahead of him is faster than his. And the strange thing, the thing almost nobody is saying out loud, is that this is the exact situation he has turned into a world championship twice before. That is the story being passed around right now as Formula One comes back from its summer break. Hamilton is second in the standings. He has been second at the break before, in 2014 and in 2017, and both times he came back to win the title. So the conclusion writes itself. He has done it before, so he can do it again. Case closed. Except it is not closed, because when you actually put those two comebacks next to this one, the statistic that is supposed to give Hamilton hope starts to fall apart in your hands. And what is left underneath it is a completely different reason to believe a better one that has almost nothing to do with Lewis Hamilton's past and everything to do with the teenager sitting in front of him. Let me show you what everyone is missing. But first, the number that actually matters more than 50, hold on to that, because we come back to it at the end. Start with the comparison everyone is making, because on the surface it is genuinely convincing. In 2017, Hamilton went into the summer break second, 14 points behind Sebastian Vettel, 202 to 188 after Vettel won in Hungary, and Hamilton could only finish fourth. Then, the season restarted, and Hamilton detonated. 5 wins in 6 races: Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Japan, the United States, and a 14-point deficit became a lead so large, he wrapped up the championship in Mexico with 2 rounds still to spare. Now go back 3 more years, because 2014 is almost the same script. In 2014, Hamilton came out of the break 11 points behind his own Mercedes teammate, Nico Rosberg, 202 to 191. His comeback actually started with a retirement in Belgium after contact with Rosberg. And then he simply refused to lose. 5 straight wins: Italy, Singapore, Japan, Russia, the United States. The fight went all the way to Abu Dhabi, where a technical failure finally dropped Rosberg out, and Hamilton took his second world title. So there it is, 2 comebacks, 2 titles, both starting from exactly where he sits now, second at the break. You can see why the internet has already decided this one is basically done. Here is the problem. He was not 50 points behind either time. He was 14. And 11. This year the gap is 50. That is not a small difference, it is more than 3 times bigger than the largest of those 2 deficits. And a points gap does not scale politely. 14 points is a couple of bad afternoons. 50 points is a structural deficit, the kind you only erase if the person ahead of you actively falls apart. But the gap is not even the real problem. This is. In 2014 and in 2017, Lewis Hamilton was sitting in the fastest car on the grid. In 2014, the Mercedes was so dominant that the only person who could beat him was the guy in the other Mercedes. In 2017, Mercedes and Ferrari were close, but across a full season, Hamilton had at least the equal of Vettel's car, and by the second half, the better one. So when he went on those streaks, he was not overachieving. He was doing what the best driver in the best car is supposed to do: clean up. In 2026, that is not the situation. For the first time in one of these comebacks, Hamilton is not in the best car. Mercedes has been the class of the field for most of the first half. Look at the standings again. Antonelli leads on 219, and George Russell, the other Mercedes, is third on 160. 2 Mercedes drivers wrapped around Hamilton's Ferrari. The constructors' table is not close. So the comeback this statistic is quietly promising you would require something Hamilton has never actually done: overturn a 50-point gap from a slower car, in a season where 4 other drivers are fast enough to beat him on any given Sunday. So why am I still telling you his title hope is real? Because the statistic is pointing at the wrong thing, and the right thing is stronger. Here is the reframe. Go back and look at what actually caused those 2014 and 2017 comebacks. It was never the size of the deficit: 14 points, 11 points. Those numbers decided nothing. What decided it was 2 ingredients. 1. Hamilton produced a run of wins so relentless it broke the momentum of the championship. And 2, this is the part everyone forgets: the person in front of him cracked. And think about who those people were. In 2017, it was Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion. A man who knew exactly what a title run-in felt like from the inside. And he still lost his grip on it. In 2014, it was Nico Rosberg, a driver in his 9th season, fighting for the biggest prize of his life, and it took him until his 3rd attempt in 2016 to finally close one out. These were experienced, hardened frontrunners, and the pressure of a Hamilton charge still got to both of them. Now look at who is leading the championship in 2026. Kimi Antonelli, 19 years old, a rookie. He has been magnificent, 5 wins early in the season, the kind of form that had everyone bracing for a runaway championship. That is not in question, and I am not going to insult him by pretending it is. But here is the question that is open. This teenager has never led a Formula One title fight into a second half. He has never had to protect a championship lead through the back end of a season, with a 7-time world champion closing behind him and the entire paddock waiting to see if he blinks. Nobody knows how he will handle it because he has never once been here before. So let me ask you this, and I genuinely want the answer in the comments. Who would you rather be right now, the 7-time champion who has come back from behind twice, or the 19-year-old who has never had to defend a lead in his life? And there is a second crack in the wall, one Mercedes does not enjoy talking about. Reliability. The story coming out of the first half is that Mercedes has not been bulletproof, that the same team leading both championships has already had cars fail to finish. And in a 50-point fight, that matters more than almost anything else. Because Hamilton does not need to outdrive Antonelli by 50 points across the run-in. He needs the leader to have 1 or 2 of those weekends where the car simply stops. Remember 2014, the title only swung on the final day because Rosberg's car broke. Reliability has ended more championships than raw talent ever has. But even all of that is not the biggest difference between now and those 2 comebacks. The biggest difference cuts both ways, and I will explain why in a moment. Here it is. In 2014 and 2017, Hamilton was fighting a duel. One rival, one car to beat. That is it. In 2026, this is not a duel, it is a scrum. Antonelli on 219, Hamilton on 169, Russell 160, Leclerc 138, Norris 128, 5 drivers, 3 teams, all close enough to win races. And that changes the entire mathematics of a comeback. Because a 5-car fight is a double-edged sword. On one edge, it is harder for Hamilton. There are more cars capable of finishing ahead of him, more afternoons where he is scrapping for 3rd instead of winning. That is real, and it is exactly why this is so difficult. But on the other edge, and this is the part that gives Ferrari hope, every single one of those drivers can also take points off Antonelli. In a duel, the leader only has to beat you. In a scrum, the leader has to beat everyone, every weekend, or the lead bleeds out on its own. Russell can beat him. Leclerc can beat him. Norris, who just won in Hungary, can beat him. Antonelli does not get to simply manage a gap to Hamilton. He has to hold off the entire front of the grid, as a rookie, for more than 10 more rounds. If this breakdown is giving you a new way to see the title race, take 1 second to subscribe. This channel follows the Hamilton story every single week, and the run-in is going to be extraordinary. Now here is where it stops being just a story and becomes a plan, because none of it matters if Ferrari's car stays exactly where it is. And Ferrari knows that better than anyone. Which is why their entire second half is built around this one problem. There is a new floor, a new aero package arriving on the Ferrari for the Dutch Grand Prix, aimed specifically at the slow and medium-speed corners where the car has been quietly losing time. And it is only the first step. The bigger one is being held back for Monza, a power unit upgrade, timed for the fastest circuit on the calendar, where straight-line power is worth the most. Think about what that sequence is really saying. Ferrari is not quietly developing a car for next year. They are pouring their upgrades into the exact weeks of the title run-in as if they have decided, internally, that this fight is still winnable. Let me make that floor real for a second, because it is easy to say more downforce and picture nothing. In a low downforce car, the rear goes light the instant the driver turns into a slow corner. The car feels like it wants to step out, the tires start sliding and overheating, and the driver has to hesitate on the throttle to keep it pointing straight. A stronger floor plants that rear end. Suddenly the driver can turn in earlier, get on the power sooner, and do it lap after lap without cooking the tires. on a track full of slow corners. That is not a tenth here and there that is the difference between fighting for fifth and fighting for the win. And this is where even the skeptics start to hesitate. Juan Pablo Montoya, nobody's idea of a Hamilton cheerleader, was asked about all of this, and his verdict was blunt. He does not expect Hamilton to become world champion again. That is the honest ceiling on this story, and I am not going to pretend it away. 50 points, a slower car, 4 rivals the odds are against him, and a former driver looking at it cold says it will not happen. But listen to what Montoya said immediately afterward, because he could not help himself. He admitted Hamilton is moving in the right direction. He admitted Ferrari is doing an impressive job, that the team has been genuinely intelligent in how it runs its races and builds its strategies. In other words, the man who says Hamilton will not win the title just described, out loud, the 2 exact ingredients you would need to win it: a driver climbing back toward his best, and a team getting smarter every weekend. He handed you the case for the defense, while trying to deliver the case for the prosecution. And that word resurgent is not a stretch. This is the same Hamilton who already won a Grand Prix for Ferrari this season, his first in red after a 2025 that a lot of people quietly wrote off as the end of him. A driver at the end of the road does not win races and drag a car that is a few tenths down on the straights into a fight it has no business being in. Whatever this Hamilton is, it is not fading. It is a champion who has found the thread again at the worst possible moment for everyone ahead of him. So what do you think? Is Montoya right that the gap is simply too big? Or is he underestimating what happens when a resurgent Hamilton and a sharp Ferrari finally get a run of races that suits them? And that word suits is the last piece, and it is the number I promised you at the very start, the one that matters more than 50. The number is the calendar. More than 10 Grand Prix still to run, plus sprint points that is well over 250 points still sitting on the table. 50 points, measured against that, is not a wall. It is 2 strong weekends and 1 bad day for the leader. The statistic that should give Hamilton hope was never "I have been second at the break before." It is there is more than enough season left, and the season does not care what happened in the first half. Because that is the quiet truth the whole debate keeps dancing around. Championships are not won by whoever is ahead at the break. They are won by whoever handles the run and the pressure, the reliability, the development war, the weekends that suit your car, and the ones that punish it. In 2014 and 2017, Hamilton handled all of it and his rivals did not. That is the real statistic, not the standings in August, the nerve in November. So no, this is not a repeat of 2014 or 2017. The gap is bigger, the car is slower, and the fight is more crowded than either of those years. If Hamilton pulls this off, it will not be history repeating. It will be harder than anything he has ever done. But the door everyone assumes is shut is not shut. It is being held open by a rookie who has never defended a lead, a team throwing everything it has at the run-in, a grid full of cars that can all beat the leader, and a calendar with more than enough points left to change the entire picture. And here is the thought I want to leave you with. The statistic that truly gives Hamilton hope is not that he has come back before. It is that the man in front of him never has. Kimi Antonelli has led every kind of race this season, but he has never led a championship home. And the second half of a Formula One season is exactly where a driver finds out, for the first time, whether he can. So tell me down in the comments, does Hamilton genuinely win this thing? Or does the kid hold his nerve and end the comeback before it even starts? I read every reply. And if you want to watch this fight unfold, race by race, all the way to the final round, subscribe, because that is exactly what we are going to do here, together.